Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe, and welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Kristy Jansen.
And I'm Summers McKay.
And we're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to help us all get focused on what's going right in the world.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, end-of-the-year, quickie, wrap-up-worthy podcast. Today is Wednesday, the 29th of December, 2021. Or is it?
Well, yeah, full disclosure, everybody knows this is our week of the holiday season when Summers and I are doing pre-recordings of the best of the year in all different categories. Today, we're going to be talking about politics and stories that we featured on the Optimist Daily in 2021 about solutions around policies that were made that we think have an opportunity to advance the world in a positive way. And so that's what we're doing today.
Well, and actually, there was kind of a big change on the Optimist Daily website over this past year in that we created a category called politics and policymaking because while we had, the highly inflamed political environments had been something we largely avoided because there was very few positive news stories coming out of that arena, we recognized at the Optimist Daily that it was our responsibility and continues to be to elevate policymakers and policies that make this world better and that align with the mindset that we have, solutions-focused mindsets of improving conditions of this world.
Right. So politics is not, we're not talking about the headlines that are inflaming us all over the world, but largely the United States.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is politics, the nitty-gritty of politics that gets done,
like the actual
bills that are
activism
passed
of politics,
and bills that are passed that are the nature of what government should be doing, which is helping make the world work better for its constituents.
Exactly.
So those are the kinds of policies and politics that we're talking about.
All right.
So that in mind, do you want me to go first?
Okay. You go first, because I love exactly that transition, making the world work better for its constituents. So what does your policy
the headline that I'm reading, and again, this is chosen from all of the various hundreds and hundreds of stories that we've written on this subject in 2021, but this is one of the top 10. My headline reads, California bill highlights the benefits of free public banking. And this is a subject that I have followed and that I'm really quite strongly in favor of. But last year we shared how Startup Majority it's a startup and a website, a web platform that helps immigrants navigate the U.S. financial system with banking assistance. The reality is that because of overdraft charges, account minimums, other fees, also the need to have a permanent address, which is hard for some people. Many low income or marginalized individuals, whether they are documented citizens or not documented residents, they choose to avoid the banking system and they're locked out of the banking system because of monetary and cultural barriers. Well, there's a new bill in California which is aiming to resolve this issue by allowing free public banking. Public banking has been legalized in California since 2019. And what the public banking actually offers is a state government program that provides universal consumer banking. So it's not held by like a Bank of America or a Wells Fargo or a local community bank. So it's not regulated by those laws, but it's just a secure place for people in the United States or in California to store their money, to have checks, to be able to deposit checks, to be able to cash checks. And it largely will probably run out of like post offices, but it would offer no fee debit cards, direct deposits from employers and government agencies, electronic bill payment services, and free ATM access at multiple ATMs all over the state, so that people who don't have all of the other bells and whistles of a commercial banking relationship can still have a banking relationship. This would also solve the problem for the the unbanked citizens who have no access to credit and therefore do not earn interest on their money. They basically have it stuffed under the equivalent of a mattress.
Yeah.
And that leaves them very vulnerable to losing that cash in fires or through theft. It's just not a safe place to keep your money. So anyway, I think this is a good path forward, and it does solve the issue of the unbanked. And California, as we know, another huge issue in California is the homelessness. And if you are a working person who just can't afford to live in the community you're living in, and you are forced to couch surf or live in your car or something else like that, until we resolve the housing situation, which I know we're working on, this is at least gives people access to a safe banking situation.
Yeah. Well, and certainly, you're sitting in California and observing the extreme homelessness in California, but there actually is, nationwide, that's a huge concern.
Absolutely.
And the unbanked and the concern of those who are not legal U.S. citizens being unbanked, but offering a huge amount of work and resources to our entire country's economy. I love that this closes the gap on that. And I think it's just really important that we recognize that economic viability really starts with some foundational access, and everyone deserves the opportunity to develop into an economically viable situation.
Absolutely. And the other thing is it takes some of the money that is made by banks, because on the backs of people, for example, who can't keep a minimum balance or who have overdraft, it's very low overdraft fees and things like that, to make it's not expensive for people who are living at the edge of financial viability. Yeah,
exactly.
I think this is a great solution. Go read it on the Optimist Daily today to get all the details and all the links to the other stories about this situation, and learn more about the California Public Banking Option Act, which is now it's law. It hasn't gone into effect yet, but it will soon go into effect. What do you want to talk about today, Summers?
I want to talk about something else that has also been passed into law, but continues to be tied up in courts, but brings a tremendous amount of awareness to a really, really big social justice concern. This headline reads, Washington State bans use of for-profit detention facilities. Now, a few months prior to releasing this article originally, we reported on a federal initiative to discontinue the use of privately run for-profit prisons. It turns out Washington State is actually taking these steps on their own to halt the use of unjust institutions with a new bill. This bill was approved by the governor and bans for-profit detention centers in the state. Under this new law, a detention center known as the Northwest Detention Center, a 1,575-bed immigration jail in Tacoma, will be forced to shut down. This particular facility is run by GEO Group, a private prison company under federal contract. Simply put, the privatization and profiteering model of immigration detention centers has pushed to massive expansion of immigration detention. Right. So the ability for federal contracts to supplement the cost has led to increased immigration detention. That quote came from Matt Adams, who is legal director at the Northwest Immigrants' Rights Project. The concept of profiteering off of incarceration just literally incentivizes a system to incarcerate more individuals, not less. Private prisons are far more likely to cut corners, risk inmate health to increase profit margins. This is not a business that should be private.
Yeah, if you were a fan of Orange is the New Black, I don't know if you saw that series.
Yep, big fan.
But that was what they did with the for-profit. As they closed down the for-profit women's prison, they just turned it right into a for-profit immigration detention prison.
Yeah. And
that got cycled right into that.
Exactly. And look, experts expected that this bill would face legal resistance from GEO Group. Absolutely already has been facing legal resistance.
It's stuck in the courts then. Huh?
Yeah, it's stuck in the courts. Unfortunately, the Northwest Detention Center remains in limbo. There are still people incarcerated there. But what I love about this policy making is that it's standing up and saying this is not acceptable. Policymakers have a voice in this process. And solutions aren't siloed. We have to get the courts on board, and we have to be humans as opposed to profiteering detention facility operators. So I just love this story because it fires me up on an issue that I am very passionate about, and I know that Amelia is very passionate about as well. And I just, always look forward to reading these kind of stories. Other states like California, Nevada, New York, and Illinois are also working on banning for-profit private prisons. So
this is a real issue in the United States where we have the highest number of our citizens and non-citizens, by the way, incarcerated. We are a prison party state, nation, whatever.
Well, and that's not to, there is a lot of unjust imprisonment as well. And so,
prison reform in general would be a good idea.
Exactly. Well, so there are other great policy and politics articles that were pulled out from the Optimist Daily's year of solutions. This one was hard not to talk about because I love it. The UBI success updates from the case study in Stockton. That is one of those policies that we followed up on and continue to show that universal basic income actually can accelerate economic and productive qualities of an environment and a community. Austria's climate ticket lets you travel anywhere in the country for just €3 a day. I know Ariel and I talked about that one a few weeks ago on the pod. Colorado reform law shows promise for changing the culture of policing. We've talked a lot about the evolution of policing and moving from a police and incarcerated state into knowing that policing and community safety is different than we perhaps have envisioned it. Let's see. One more for me. Maine is restructuring the modern recycling system. Remember, guys, that was the one about charging the manufacturers for the required recyclability.
I love it.
I loved that one. That was exciting. Kristy, what else?
Other headlines. France thanks over 12,000 frontline workers with fast-track citizenship because there's a lot of citizens, new French citizens, thanks to their work on the front lines. Yes. Greenland permanently bans all oil and gas exploration on that large island nation. New Zealand approves paid family leave for miscarriages, acknowledging the real pain and suffering that happens when you lose a pregnancy, just as if you would to lose a child. E-waste, crucial right to repair laws have come into force in the EU. This is a way of getting some of that e-waste out of our landfills and actually allowing us all to repair our electronics.
Yes.
A great way to prolong life and lower our international carbon footprint. So yay for that policy. That and more. Go check out the Optimist Daily today. Read about our best of the politics section and the policymaking section on the optimistdaily.com. And that's it for today's update. Thanks so much for being here. We promise to keep sharing these kinds of solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in the changing world, help ensure it's changed for the good, and to cover current events with accuracy, legitimate sources, and offering you the information we all need to chart new paths for all of us.
Guys, I think if my tracking is correct, by this point in December, we will only need 5 more emissaries to sign up and commit to supporting reader-funded journalism in the future. And you can join as an emissary, an emissary ambassador, or a super emissary. There are multiple levels of membership based on your ability to commit and contribute. Thank you for helping us keep the Optimist Daily free to all who need it, supported by those who can. Happy almost New Year. We'll see you tomorrow with more solutions.